Good afternoon, darlings. We are doing a catch up from New Year's Eve to now. The first quarter moon is tomorrow. So I've just had a quick look at the New Orleans running over of the people before we're about to have Super Bowl in New Orleans. And we had lightning on the tits, on the breast of Venus in Washington. So we got a lot to have a look. We're going to have a look together, but this is in New Orleans. So New Orleans is northwest. Okay, so New Orleans is at this time of year for the winter solstice. We've just probably got Capricorn moving over the trigger of the whale. New Orleans is here, Louisiana, and Sagittarius. We have this new moon in Sagittarius, and we've got Venus at home just moving on that evening into Aquarius with Saturn. So the twin peaks, Father Air, Mother Earth, Inanna, and Saturn at home in domicile, making a square to Jupiter and Mercury. Jupiter, the ruler of Sagittarius, in Taurus, in the breast of Venus. Jupiter, Zeus, thunder and lightning, very, very frightening. So 1st of January, this post, December the 31st, New Year's Eve, heading into 2025, lightning strikes the US Capitol building, the Washington Monument at the Empire State Building. So lightning, Jupiter, and the breast of Venus with almost the unicorn. Is this... Yeah. The Capitol building, the Washington Monument. Okay. So Uno did a video, let's cut sound. Lightning strikes on New Year's Eve. And I was just reading, is this here? So I've got my mouse problem still. So New Orleans planned barriers only designed to withstand crashes of 10 miles per hour. Months before the deadly New Orleans vehicle attack on New Year's Day, the city modeled scenarios for how an attacker could enter Bourbon Street. So Bourbon is the B. Bourbon, I'm looking back at my post. So this is the post when we have the Valencia floods. The Valencia floods is Valentine, and he's got written on him here, Bourbon, Bourbon with the diving duck. This is Philip. And Philip is X1, that's 10, and 1, that's 15. So it's always this 1551, 51 men raped. G is L, Giselle. And you've got the head of Formula One, Chris Horner, little Jack Horner, sat in a corner. And he is 51 years old as well. Yesterday, the last door was closed for Paul. And that was on the 5th of the 1st, or you can say 1551. So 1515 is Gemini, the Lover's cards, and 51 is the Devil, 10V. So Bourbon, Black Appy, B13, Pomme d'Appy, the Apple of Abyss. This is the B, this is Appy. House of Bourbon, Maison de Bourbon dynasty. The House of Bourbon is a dynasty that originated in the Kingdom of France as a branch of the Capetian dynasty. The Royal House of France, Bourbon kings, first ruled France and Navarre in the 16th century. So that was a very big black and yellow to make the B, and that is the closing. As we know, we've got this artificial closing of the Lucifer sigil, closing the wheel so that all the cardinal signs, Capricorn, close with the mutable sign Sagittarius. So Saturn and Jupiter being closed together when Jupiter should move to the side so that the cardinal and the fixed signs come together. So we know that Venus, ruler of Taurus, Lucifer, she becomes very important because Venus rules Taurus, the first sign of the fixed cross, which is now the summer solstice. So I also, this is another post from July, talking of BP, PB, BMP, Black Prince, Palais Bourbon, pink, blue. So Palais Bourbon is PB, Paddington Bear, this is the summer solstice, P is 16, B is 2. So 162 is the same as 216, the Palais Bourbon, PB, so that I had just tapped to get, and if I tap here just B, so the Bourbon is the black bee, it's the fleur de lis. If I put B, I should have, my mouse is very annoying, it's not working. So, okay, let's put Victoria Cotton, Victoria, B, regarding 4th of October, the bee. Okay, here we go. So these are my posts of beehives, the B13, to be or not to be, beehive, staying alive, BGs, BFG, Mercury, Quicksilver rising. So you can have a look at all that. These are old posts. That's from May 2023. Angelina Jolie, again, she is playing Maria Callas. I've told you about her. She did the film In the Land of Blood and Honey. And then this recent post, Lilibet died on Mary's birthday. Beth, Queen Elizabeth dies on Nativity of Mary, 9/8/2022, when Mars was on the bullseye. Taurus ruled by Venus, now Mars is on the beehive and Jupiter on the bullseye. Taurus, as Venus is in Capricorn, Queen of Heaven, so this was on the 22nd of December, and now Venus has just moved into Sagittarius. So for the rising of Notre Dame, Venus was combust to PlutO, and for this attack, we had the moon combust to PlutO. So this is giving power to the bee, because we've got this opposition. So this is on the 31st, and we've got the Super Bowl coming up. So Jupiter was opposite Mercury still, and then we had PlutO and the moon. So the attack was at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we've got the moon exactly combust to PlutO. PlutO is right here. So the moon was just moving from Sagittarius to Capricorn, making that merging, that fertility. The moon rules Cancer, and we have got Mars bang opposites in Cancer. So this beehive cluster I've explained to you. So on mainstream astrology, they will have Mars going retrogrades from somebody tropical said that Mars was coming up to the beehive, but I'm not sure how on mainstream Mars is retrograding from Cancer back to Gemini. So on mainstream Mars must be retrograding and maybe coming back to the beehive cluster just here. So this is the beehive, the bee, and we've got Mars bang opposites PlutO. So I explained the bee, and now we've had this attack on the corner of Bourbon streets. So Taurus has Venus in Capricorn, Queen of Heaven, and was combust PlutO, rising Notre Dame in Capricorn, opposite Mars, CC, Cancer, Capricorn axis. Beehive, B13, B2, Lilibet, line Cancer. So we've got Lily, the daughter of Johnny Depp, Lily Rose. So Lily is Scorpio, where we've got Mercury, and the Rose where Jupiter is. Mercury has now just moved into Sagittarius today, but for this, Mercury was right on the knee of the 13th sign of the bee, of the Bourbon, of the to be or not to be. So you can read that. I've been through all these posts, got so much to look at, but I was telling you about the bee, the Elizabeth line, the bee. I'm telling you, everything I tell you happens, but I know that you can't put, you don't see it. So this is the lightning. It's the plasma event, the lightning. There she is. That is the constellation of Cancer, the queen bee, the Elizabeth, the bee. There's the fleur de lis. That's the Bourbon. That's where Mars is going to come back. Now, when was that? That's 2023. That was for the disappearing of, that was the floods when I was in New Zealand. So Mars on the beehive. It's December. There is the breast of Venus that you see in that image that we just saw of the lightning. So I've been explaining. Bingo. Appy is the bee, the bee, the bee. Then the attack at the Bourbon. Okay, so on that night, I have, this is Inanna, so let's just look, come back to this here. So we've got Mars still in Cancer, opposite Pluto and the moon. This is the time of the attack in New Orleans. The attack was at 3 o'clock something. And the moon rules Cancer, opposite where Mars is in full and the moon is in detriment in Capricorn or in full. Venus has just that second entered Aquarius. She's just gone into Aquarius. Just that evening, that night, she's moved into Aquarius. So the Queen of Heaven, Venus, so she was for the rising. This was on the 1st. So on the 1st, they rose Maria Callas, the Pope, the sovereignty of Maria. He opens that 4th door. At the same time, there's lightning on the breast of Venus in Washington. And there is, as Uno explains, Uno is explaining Empire State Building, US Capitol, Washington Monument, all struck by lightning last night. So let's have a look at his Ford lightning. Last night, as heavy rain, December thunderstorms rampaged through the eastern USA. 3 iconic structures were all struck by lightning. The Empire State Building, New York City, the US, and the Washington Monument in Washington. The strikes all came before midnight on the East Coast. So before midnight, Venus was just there. But what's important is the moon is moving from Sagittarius. The moon was in Sagittarius. So that is important because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And there was a new moon in Sagittarius, and the moon rules Cancer, the fertility, and is exalted in Taurus, where Jupiter is on the bullseye, the breast of Venus. So the lightning hit the bullseye, hit the breast of Venus. Saturn is at home. You know, this is the truth. Saturn is making this square to Jupiter, and Saturn is making a square to Mercury, and the moon moves in those hours. And then you have the car, the lorry that runs out. So the strikes all became before midnight. They've put a big before on the East Coast. Speculation is running rampant that this was either the final FU of 2024 or a harbinger of bad, okay, to come in the near future. Strangely, a terrorist attack which took place early this morning in New Orleans, LA, saw the driver of a pickup truck intentionally ram Mars through crowds of people on historic Bourbon Street in the French Quarter of New Orleans. So New Orleans is the Golden Gate. We've got Mars and Jupiter, the rulers of the Golden Gate, in the lunar, in the French area. Lunar, moon is cheese, is France. The Louis, the sun god. You've got this merging just after the new moon of the sun and the moon. That truck was a Ford model F15. So this is the Lovers track. This is the Lovers 15 lightning truck. Okay. Ford. Something about Ford as well. Ford. So the all electric 150 lightning. This is about plasma event. So there is the breast of Venus for all to see. I've been showing you Tesla's Cybertruck burst into flames outside the Trump Las Vegas. It's awakening. We're at the Epiphany today. Today is the Epiphany. Epiphany is a moment when you wake up, you get it. Lightning strike. Trump. Raiders. So all this just before the Super Bowl, and the Super Bowl make sure this is so the Super Bowl coming up is in like a spaceship. It's in a spaceship. So the Super Bowl is in a huge spaceship. Everyone's been talking about the aliens, Super Bowl, and that is a Superdome for the Super Bowl. And this is who we've got playing. So Super Bowl X12, so that's 12. 2 for 2, BB. She's got 12 and 84 there. The Dallas Cowboys were victorious in 1972 in New Orleans. Entered a different building this time around against the Denver Broncos on January the 15th, 1978. So on this evening, on the day, this day, on January the 1st, so I wake up and I do my newsletter. I do my January newsletter. So that took me, I'm doing that all day January, so I can't actually go down. So I'm sitting doing it in this mist, so this incredible misty morning. These are the pictures I show, the gradual into the most incredible sunny day. So I'm showing, as I'm doing this, I'm showing here we've got the fog falling and we've got the mountains coming out of days and days of fog. And I'm woken up very early this morning. I'm woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning by bang, a huge banging noise. And I have an owl trapped. I have an owl trapped in my house. So I've been in this house since 2016 and I've never had an owl get stuck. So since I've got cats, they don't leave their babies up here anymore. And I explain in this post, I explain it all. So you can read that, but I explain that in 2019, I literally thought that they were birthing the dragon. So that was before 2019, yes, it was before COVID, and it was the year that my dog Happy died. It was the year after Mars was on the bullseye and Notre Dame had fallen that year. And I never forget just how impressive the sound of the barn owls, that I've always lived with barn owls, but that year it was literally like they were laying the egg of the dragon upstairs. So I've lived all the time with owls, but I've never ever had an owl get stuck. I leave a little, there's a hole up in the roof. There's no reason for an owl to bang. So that day I had an owl wake me up. So I let the owl out. Then I come and work and write. Then I have two blue tits, the two whore eyes on, two breast tits. And that night I have two more owls, and then nothing again. Nothing on the 2nd of January, on the 3rd of January, nothing again, just 3 owls, 2 tits in one day. So that's why I wrote this post, and I even managed to film. And I explain also that the reason I bought this house where I am, which is in the 5-pointed star of Venus, was because I had had a dream that I was holding the 2 snakes like Inanna, and they were exactly those very not long, short, very virile little snakes, and they had yellow circles. Was it red or yellow? But well, it may have been yellow, so black and yellow, the bee. Don't forget that Le Bee, my surname Le Bee, is the heart. It's the World Tarot card. It's the heart passage. Taurus is the torso, is the heart, is Venus. So I had that dream, and in my dream I was standing in straw. So the beehive is the manger. It's the manger of the child. So I'll be explaining this to you, but if you can join these dots. So this is the super bowl, the super bee, the bee, le bee, and the owl is the bow. It's the bow, the owl, and we had that new moon right on noon key. On noon key, we had the new moon on the hand. So no, not on noon key, therefore, but on the hand of the bow, of the crossbow. This is the archer. This is the William Telltale. So I had this dream that I was with my ex-partner, and I handed him the snakes, and he immediately let them go, and they disappeared in the straw. And that was when I realized that I was losing my vitality, that was my ADN, that was my DNA, that was Inanna holding the snakes, the goddess of the snakes, and that I was, if I didn't buy a property fast, I wouldn't have any money left, and he would have succeeded in just waiting for me to spend all my money, and then I had sold my house to follow him, and normal stories. And I knew I had to buy a house, and I phoned. I've been looking at a house in the area for a long time. It had just been signed, it had just gone, and this house on that day came on the market. This house had been empty for 50 years, since the year I was born in 1968, and I bought it for my 50th year. So I'm explaining the story there. This is the barn owl. The Pope was opening the door of Maria that day. Saint Mary Major's holy door is open. Mary, a guiding light. Okay, I hope I don't have problems with the sound. So the moon was right conjunct Capricorn, and all this time as this was going on, and then this is me going to see the owl. So I can hear the owl banging, so I decide I can film, and this is the second to last. This is... Oh, hang on. Let me let you out. So let me let you out. Hi. Just fly up the stairs. Yes. And get out, but it doesn't. Yeah, don't get stuck. No, don't get stuck like this. Come on. Come on, out. So instead of just kind of flying out, I go back so it will go out, but it just stops and stares at me. But the minute I focus, it turns its head around. Okay. Right. So that's 5 visits as the Pope. He had one more door and he did that last door last night. Okay. Saying there's no more owls. So this is everyone talking about the aliens. A-lion is the Nile line, Neil line, the Needle, the Needle. GG77, G is the galactic gap. So then we have 31. Okay, so then the moon moves past Pluto's just here into Capricorn. And we've got, at this time, we've got Mercury bang on the knee of the 13th sign of the bee. 13 is the bee. And Mercury is, you know, this is the child, this is the gap, this is the galactic gap. So then we have on the 5th, they open this door and Mercury today has just moved into Sagittarius. So yesterday that Mercury was still on the knee, and today Mercury has moved into Sagittarius. So GG77, G is L, this famous Giselle, raped by 51 people. That's your 5115 again, galactic gap. And that's when they bring your fake alien into the story to birth the Milky Way kid, Dick. These are old posts of mine that I copy pasted and shared with this old post. It's the lion lies down with the lamb, BP. Bourbon Palace. The aliens are the barbarians, the apes, the apes, the abs, the abbey Pierre, les visiteurs. Elon, Leon, Lion, Elon, Muscum, Starlink. Dart in N on. So where I live is D'Artagnan. The dart in Aignan. Aignan is the 5-pointed star. NL, LN, from Nelly NL to Ellen, Noel, Elon, Dart in Aignan, Aigle, D'Artagnan. So the eagle is the egg, L. The breast, mosque, mask, beast, northeast, beast. What a joke. So I'm writing all this. I didn't know about what had happened in New Orleans yet. What a joke, the A-lion, Lea Rocky. Yeah, no, this is old posts that I've written. The line 9, Caroline, Cairo, Kairos. And these are old posts from last year, and this is where everything is about. Mars and Jupiter coming back to where they were on the 9th, the 27th of September. Mars is on his way, retrograding back to Sirius. So the gut, the fluoride, Virgo rules the intestines. For those who don't get it, we are 5 minutes in. So that's some old thing I wrote that somebody copied and kept. So you read all that, but what is interesting, so we have Chiron that was discovered in 1977, the last time that Mars was on the beehive in Cancer, 1977, and the Chiron's cycle is between Jupiter and Saturn. We've got the orbit of Uranus, the orbit of Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, and Chiron. So I've just done this post for Patreon, the 2-week rundown. I call it the mist, the epiphany, the fog. And I explain, so this is the chart for yesterday, the 5th. So we've now got Neptune conjunct to the moon and the North Node. The North Node will be entering after these first lunar and solar eclipse in March. Then the North Node is going to move into the Aquarius and South Node into Leo. So it will no longer be Jupiter, Mercury. This is why it's so important to get all this done, to make this 5-pointed star doors, the 5 doors, as Venus is coming up to be exalted in Pisces, where she will go retrograde on the 1st of March until the 13th of April. So here for this last door, this is the door of Pete's, and they open the 5th door of Paul. So they've gone back to front. 2 little dicky birds sitting on a wall, one called Peter, one called Paul. So they're ending, they're now got from the feminine axis, this is Pete's axis, this is Peter, the Pierre, and we've got Paul. They're opening Paul's door. But we had a new moon, so we had a new moon in Sagittarius, and now the moon has moved also into the home of Jupiter. So this is double bonus for Jupiter. Jupiter has got the moon, this is the tarot card, the moon in Pisces, and the moon that rules Cancer, where his mate Mars is now in Pisces. So this is, that lunar energy, that feminine energy. The moon is making a square to Sagittarius, to the sun, and Jupiter the ruler is in Taurus. And we've actually got a little semi-square from Mars too, but they're both still retrograde, and they're coming up to this bang on Aldebaran that we will see as we go through these. So you can go and read everything that I've written, because I've done a very long post on this. So Pete, now Paul, Venus is the light of Lucifer. She is the ruler of Taurus, the heart of the Jesus Jack. Just as Jack drowns and Rose survives, Jack opens her arms on the Titanic so she, Venus, may fly as Lucifer, as Jupiter has no wings. So there's the rose, the center of the cross. In the name of the rose line, the meridian ley line, it goes through Paris where we had the Olympics. And Venus is about to go retrograde. So that will be on the 1st of the 3rd, which is 31 or 13, and we're going to have the new full wolf moon on the 13th. So we're at this Vesica Pisces passage. We're coming through this shape-shifting as Saturn moves from Aquarius to Pisces and North Node moves from Pisces to Aquarius. So again, Jupiter rules Pisces, Saturn rules Aquarius. Exactly what we had for the New Year's Eve moon. We had this passage of the moon. The moon was exactly going from Sagittarius, ruled by Jupiter, to Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. So the 2 gateways back to the Twin Peaks are taken. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, Jupiter rules Pisces, and now today, as I speak, the moon, we'll see, it's already first quarter, tomorrow is the first quarter, but yesterday for the last door we had the moon conjunct to Neptune, and that's what I was explaining about the fog, because Neptune was last in Pisces in the time of Jack the Ripper. Jack the Ripper in London in the Victoria era. Here you see we're going through the Vesica Pisces. So today is the day of the Epiphany, the Feast of the Epiphany. We've got the 3 kings, that's Orion with Virgo, with the Virgo constellation holding the child. And today we've got Mercury for the Epiphany that has just moved into Sagittarius, into the home of his father. But he was on the knee, he was on the bee, he was in Ophiuchus. So there is Virgo, the constellation of Virgo, the Virgin. And then we've got the 3 kings and Sirius. And this is all about Mars coming back to Sirius. Mars is on his way back to Sirius. He's going to come back to Sirius, and then he'll move forward again, as Jupiter is going to come back to Aldebaran, and that will be for the Lupercalia Fertility Festival. And this new full moon coming up is the wolf moon. So we've got the unicorn, the two steeples. We had Notre Dame's 5-year transformation, and that steeple, and now there's the one unicorn. So this is something I found on Facebook. Today, the 6th of January, is the day of Epiphany, where the well-known story goes in the Christian faith that the Magi, the three kings, conclude their pilgrimage in visiting the baby Jesus in a manger by following a bright star in the east. Like many stories in the Bible, it is founded in the language of the stars, in the heavenly cycles of the night sky, in the realms of celestial metaphor, which many sacred stories, scriptures, and ancient myths from various cultures are also founded on. But we have forgotten this and have been told to take these stories solely as literal terrestrial history, and forgotten how to decipher these texts of celestial metaphor over time. The three kings are the three stars that make up Orion's belt. In ancient times, these were called the three kings. These stars do rise and begin in the east and point towards the brighter star that rises in the east in the night sky, which is Sirius. As they process from east to west across the night sky, at midnight, the constellation of Virgo, the Virgin, will start to rise above the horizon. Soon after, a cluster of stars known as the beehive cluster, which is also referred to as Precipe, the manger. It is also between two stars known as the northern donkey cult and the southern donkey cult. So that's your skin of the donkey. Po Dan. Po is over here where the North Star is in front of me. Po is the skin of the donkey. So that Christmas story, that, you know, in the manger, that's where I lost my vitality. I gave away those snakes. And that's how I came to get this house in 2016, which is the summer solstice. We had these three kings. So Mardi Gras, we've got the Super Bowl coming up. And it's going to be on Mardi Gras on the 9th of February, Shrove Tuesday or Fat Tuesday, Mardi Gras. So the fat is when you fatten up the geese. Consuming rich fatty foods in preparation for the Christian fasting season, or Lent. Well, Lent is 40 days and 40 nights, so we've got exactly coming up as Venus is going to go retrogrades. During the season of Lent, some Christians abstain from the consumption of certain foods such as meat, eggs, dairy products, and alcoholic beverages. Most Christian denominations observe the tradition of Lent. Expectations include many churches with the Anabaptist, Baptist, Methodist. Okay, so that is the Super Bowl coming up. So then I talk about the fog. So Pierre, Stone, Paul, Pole, and Jack, the Union Jack, Free Will, Willie. Can you find clarity through the fog? Neptune in Pisces. Today, 5-1. G is L. Giselle rate by 551 men. Jack, Le Ripper. Last time Neptune was in Pisces, Victorian era, 51-15. So 15 years Neptune is in Pisces. Lovers is 6V1 and Devil is 1-5-15. Pope opens the last door today. So Pierre, Paul, and Jacques is born. The gap, the GG77 galactic gap. Below our old post considering. Okay, so that is all about Neptune. And you can see those posts. So we got Jack. The Ripper, I've told you about Jack Compostelle. Compost is a compost of L, and then Pierre, Paul, and Jack. And there's Jack, the green man, and Venus. So the path of, so little Jack Horner in the corner. I had that dream I told you about, a man kneeling in that top corner, and then we had the Chris, whatever he's called, Chris Horner, who got the Maltese cross. So Jack the Ripper, and here is the upside down shell of Venus, shell, BP, shell, BP is 216, the summer solstice. So you have to try and join all these dots. So last time Neptune was in Pisces, 1856 to 1874. At the same time, Pluto was in Cetus, prison, in 12th house Pisces, last door out of the wheel, home of the collective unconscious. 12th house, hotels, churches, hospitals, islands, Pisces, mental health, madness, the abyss. Do not expect the prisoners to help you out of prison. Rumi. So again, mirrors on the ceiling, pink champagne on ice. And she said, we're all just prisoners here of our own device. And in the master's chambers, they gathered for the feast. They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. Last thing I remember, I was running for the door. I had to find the passage back to the place I was before. Relax at the night, man. We are programmed to receive. You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave. So, forbidden, bidden, planet, 1956. 5-6 is 11, LL 7-7, Sun leaves Aquarius 3-11, Fukushima to enter the monsters of the id, Pisces. So Bidden has gone where this happened on the New Year's Eve. Bidden, forbidden, bid, buy, den, in the den. Mental health, you can read all that. Those are old posts. So old posts, they're all in from Lucy Prince. She wrote that. So you can go and read all that. There's a lot to read. Those are, again, everything to do with Pisces. Disappear, what disappears, missing. Those who disappear, lose what we lose, secret, mysterious, under wraps, unexplored, unknown, fear, phobias. Basically, this is all your belief programs. Everyone's talking about aliens. There is no alien. There's just a lie of where the true N, North Polaris is. The Balen, the disco ball, the bowl, the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl, the N, North Polaris. So here we've got all illnesses coming back, hospital, doctors in the hospital, invisibly, be invisible, what is hard to find, drugs, pharmaceutical, pharmacy, pharmacists, lonely places on the outskirts, nearby hospitals, prisons, mental hospitals, monasteries, holy places. What is of a religion, divine character, church, icon, divine paradise, heavenly God, contact with God, hotels, Hotel California, hospitality, night by night, dream to sleep, to be asleep, bedroom, bad, a bed. Mistake by mistake, wrong, erroneous, abyss, chasm, oil, petrol station. That's why we've got BP, gas, petrol, dope, drug addict, drug dealer, photo, photographer, camera, false and sincerely, forgery, to forge, alias, impersonate, fog, foggy, vaguely, to research, laboratory, science, doctorers, the sea, on the sea, fisherman, net, to fish, fish all places, at sea, islands in the sea, drowning, to drown, poison, to be poisoned, to poison someone, Godfather, at Godfathers, by the Godfather, get away, escape, run away. So the alien, this is, so in the post here, I go into more detail of pictures. So here she is, being risen, Virgo, Mercury. Mercury rules Virgo and Gemini, but we've also got the two heads of the beast, and she's got her claws at the bottom. She's got the orb and the spectre, the pierre and the pole, the spine and the third eye. Can also be the breast of Venus. It's also like the orb is always in the shape of Venus. So, you know, what side of her are you going to rise? The one that births Romulus and Remus. So there's your Venus cycle. Miranda goes missing. Nicola Bulli goes missing. We're going through the Vesica Pisces. Pisces, there is pull, free will, and those two axes of Osiris and coming back to the fixed cross. Osiris is your brainstem. It's your brainstem. Critical point, Rolf Harris sings. Three men, Jake with the peg in the leg, Pierre, Paul and Jack. So what he means is Jake with an extra leg. Na 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 na. So the sigil of Lucifer, the 5 doors are opened. Can you find that mid-ground? The 51 Coupable, guilty. This is the fog at my house. Bounty, Jack the Ripper, Jack and Rose. So Gemini, Taurus and Osiris, the brainstem, Mercury, rising Mercury, Las Vegas, through the Vegas, Pierre, Paul and Jack, Jack in the box, Venus and Jacques de Compostelle, the gap, Merlin. Now I just want to see fog. F is 6, O is 2, and G is 7. So that 7 could also be a 1. That 7 could also be a 1. So fog is also 216, the summer solstice, and it's also 666 because O, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O is 15, the devil. 5 and 1 is 6. And G, the little g, is also like a 6. So 37, the Vesica Pisces, the pineal glands, the triangle, the cornerstone at the top is the L. This is the passage. The Lucifer sigil is the passage in your brain, the Ark of the Covenant. Jacques de Compostelle, the walkers, is always that shell of Venus. They're going to find the gap between your right and left brain. Little Jack Horner, the Union Jack, Saint Jacques de Compostelle. It's a reversed, it's an upside down. I noticed at Lupiac at the church, they do have the upside down Venus. So this is Jack. When you merge the 3 crosses together, you find your middle ground. You find Jack and the Beanstalk, but gold, New Orleans, the Gold Gate. There has been all these people run over. It's probably be that was the fog on the morning. That was what, yesterday, 2 days ago. That was yesterday for the opening of the 5th door and moon conjunct Neptune and North Node. So Biden is going to New Orleans. So there were 14 people were killed and 35 injured. So 1 and 4, 14 pieces of Osiris. It's 5 all for 1 and 1 for all. And 5, this is 8, so it's Venus. 5 and 3 and 5 is 7. 8, sorry, so 8 years to make the 5-pointed star. It's all about Venus. Joe Biden, BJ. So do you remember that comic, Misty? I used to read that in the 60s. So we've got a lunar eclipse on the 13th, 14th, and a solar on the 29th. That is the Mercury on the knee, the bee's knees. 7th of January, this is the new moon, the first quarter moon tomorrow, and we're going to have the moon right in that V, right on the V for victory on this side, half moon tomorrow. So Chiron conjunct to the moon, square to the sun, Mercury square to Neptune and North Node, Uranus making a trine to Pluto and the sun, still this big opposition. So where have we got Mars is now at 4 and Pluto is at 6. So we've had that exact, but Mars is going to come back again. We'll have another. So yeah, Mercury is now in detriment in Sagittarius, and Jupiter, the ruler. So we've also, Mars is still in full, Saturn in domicile, and Neptune in domicile, we know. So Mercury is now in Sagittarius in full, as Mercury rules a sign opposite Gemini. Mercury is Robin, and being in the sign of Batman is overwhelming. When you are logical and analytical, Mercury in the home of his father Jupiter means being under the shadow of the hero's cape. It also means that the sons, as Prince William, Baron Trump, and Elon Musk's, prepare the 3 new generations of the sons to take over from their father. So this is the energy I'm feeling very much. These Mercuries have now grown to be giants. You've got Baron, who is so much taller than his father, and look at this. That is the profile of Baron. You know, we've really got the Mercury. Prince William is so tall. There's really the giants. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are giants back everywhere. So we've got 3 generations of boys here. But Elon Musk's son, William, is nearly 40. He is nearly 20, and Elon Musk's son is coming up to 5 or 7. So Venus in Aquarius, sign of rebellion, humanitarians, is now square to Jupiter, her home, Taurus. So Venus is right on the true third eye. So this is really an energy of, you know, creating. Venus is as the evening star. She's reversed. And she's making a square, an exact square with Saturn. They're both making a square to Jupiter on the bullseye. So, you know, are you going to fall for the seductive Venus, Jupiter, greedy, seductive Venus energy, or are you going to take that Venus and Saturn and be the astrologer and find the wisdom, be the star tarot card? That image is typically exactly Venus and Aquarius. I love it. Making a square to Jupiter on the rose. And there is the star card, Venus in Aquarius, and Botticelli, the upside down pentagram. So then we come to the full moon. So then we'll have the Super Bowl on the 9th, and I have opened this chart. So the Bourbon New Orleans attack is not going to be any different. That attack. So we had Mars at 6. They were bang 6-6. We had 6-6. We had the moon absolutely at 6. We had 666, 666. That moon will have been, it's not 100% right, but we will have had 666 between those 3 opposite each other. Venus just entered Aquarius and square to Uranus. Talk about that big bang on Algol, on Medusa. So, you know, really emphasizing the dark side of Venus in Aquarius, when Venus should be extremely exalted in Aquarius. So yeah, when all that happened on the 1st, I have my Venus, Mercury and Moon right here. So this sighting of the owls on that day. So then let's have a look at the Super Bowl. So the Super Bowl on the 9th of January. On the 9th of January, so Neptune we know is there, Venus is still bang on the third eye, and we're going to have the moon combust Uranus. The moon combust very early that morning, and then the Super Bowl is in the afternoon. So the Super Bowl, so we're going to have the moon go from Uranus to conjunction with Jupiter. So what about that? So on the 1st, the moon was combust Pluto. Opposite Mars in her home Cancer. And now for the Super Bowl, moon is in Taurus, exalted with Jupiter. And Mars for this Super Bowl is going to be not back in Cancer yet, not quite back in Cancer. So there they are, combust. So for the Super Bowl, 6:20 p.m, they say that moon is conjunct Uranus, but we saw the moon's going to be moving between Uranus and Jupiter. Jupiter square to Saturn and Venus. Mars and Pluto still opposite, and also Sun. So we had Sun and Pluto. So Sun and Pluto conjunct. They're going to be absolutely conjunct. Sun is going to move next to Pluto, just as we had Moon and Pluto conjunct for that New Year's Eve. We're going to have for the full moon coming up, we're going to have the Sun conjunct Pluto. Mercury square to South Node, he rules Virgo, and he rules Gemini, where Mars is not quite back. So now for the full moon, the 13th of January, then we're going to have, this is enormous because we're going to have Moon and Mars. Mars is back in Gemini. Mars gets back to Gemini on the 13th. So again, 13 is the bee meeting the moon, the fertility on top of Sirius, where Mars will be. So Mars was right here for the Caroline floods, the Cairo. And now Mars he'll be back here for the fertility festival, 6/6. And here for this full moon, the wolf full moon, we've got Mars as, so Jupiter's bang on the bullseye, and little Mercury is right where that new moon was. The new moon, and where we had that event in New Orleans. So Mercury's going to be on the hand of the crossbow, and the Sun is on his way into Capricorn. So here you see the moon and Mars just in Gemini. So Romulus birthing the female, the wolf. We've got Rolf Harris and two little boys. So this is the masculine taking the feminine axis, taking the feminine gate, taking the fertility. And this is what, and the Sun still just in Sagittarius, not completely combust, but pretty combust Pluto. So this is the gateway, this is the merging, this is the absolute merging of what they want. Gemini and Cancer, Capricorn, and Sagittarius. That is cardinal and mutable signs merging together as we see. So by the way, we saw that, but this for the winter solstice, you see we've got Aquarius and Capricorn, and just here we've got Sagittarius, and Gemini is over here, so kind of in Saudi Arabia. Cancer is over India, or no, more Leo still. So Cancer and Gemini is kind of Saudi Arabia, Middle East. So Gemini and Cancer, Middle East, we've got Mars right here taking the fertility. I've been looking a lot at these stories in the Middle East of the missing women, and of Mohammed bin Salman, instead of Solomon, we've got Salomon. So instead of Cancer between the moon and Leo, Solomon, we've got Salaman, and we've got Mars right here. And then between Sagittarius and Capricorn, we've got the Sun and Pluto and Moon and Mars. You can't get more negative in those two energies, in mixing that anima and that animus. So full moon conjunct Mars, as Mars now in Gemini, twins retrograde, Venus conjunct Saturn, Aquarius square to Jupiter, and semi-square from moon Mars to Jupiter and Taurus. Mercury, ruler of Gemini, the twins in Sagittarius. Uranus is also back in Aries since the 29th December, war, and Mars, the ruler, retro from Cancer in full, back in Gemini. 13th, Ophiuchus, the gap of Romulus Remus. So just to look at so there is some connection going on here as well about Rebecca's Worlds. It's a book I read, and I bought the book for my grandchildren. We lost the first book in the floods, but then I just bought it again and I sent it to them. And so, it's about it's about a girl, Rebecca, who goes to another planet, and there she finds 3 friends, 3 heroes, and there's no trees left, and there's sirens that go off whenever the mist arrives, and when the mist arrives, there are ghosts in the mist, and the only thing that can save them is this one of the heroes has the last twig of wood left on the planet. The last twig of wood, and that piece of wood is the only thing they have to get rid of the ghosts. So this book is written by a guy called Terry Nation, and he did the Daleks, he created the Daleks, the Doctor Who, he did Blake 7. Wait till you see all the stuff he did. This is the book, Rebecca's Worlds. So Rebecca in the Bible, she gives birth to Aesop and Jacob, but first she was barren for a very, very long time. She was sterile, and then she gives birth to this hairy child, which is like the wolf, the Louvre. So this reminds me of, this is images from the book Rebecca's World. So you can see Orion coming out in the gap, in the mist. In the Alien film, we have Sigourney Weaver, who also plays in Gorillas in the Mist, which is a play on the gorillas, the rebels in the mist, from the Alien, so the Ghostbusters. It's all green. It's the World Tarot card, the gap between the fixed cross, the mist. We've got 15 years of Neptune in Pisces. So the egg where I live is Enyon, which is egg, A-I-G, the egg, Enyon, the egg on. This is Venus. So Rebecca births Esau and Jacob. And this book is called Rebecca's World, and it's the world, it's the tarot card, it's giving birth. So the visitors arriving, this is the tarot card. She also plays in Avatar, where they're beasts, they're not animals, and they're blue. So that is the gap, the mist coming out. And this is like in New Zealand, where I met in 2016 when I went and I wrote in my old blog all about this meeting of exactly this man. And then I discovered the stamp and that the mist people exist and many people have seen them. So look, there's a smaller one and a big one, and that's exactly what I met. Walking up the ladder, I was in paralysis. I haven't had paralysis since those days, but I couldn't wake up. But in my dream, I saw this man in my flat in Spain. At the time, I was living in Barcelona, and he was looking at his own reflection in a mirror. And then when I eventually opened my eyes, he was walking up my bunk bed, and on the floor, there were these smaller. So that is the book. This is Bess, the god of fertility, blue, just like what we saw at the Olympics, the Smurfs, the gnomes. And this is the book with the three heroes and the baddie, the chest of gold, the Taurus giving Virgo, or Rebecca taking the fertility. So it's about how she and they managed to find a little bird who can fly and sow another forest. There is the god of fertility. It's a Rumpelstiltskin. I've covered all this. People of the mist. Okay. So that will explain more what I'm saying. You've got Rolf Harris, the two little boys, Orion and Ophiuchus. This is exactly where this full moon is. This full moon on the 13th. We've got the sun. So Mercury is on that Milky Way gap. And opposites, we've got Jupiter. So we've got the moon and Mars and Jupiter on one side of the Milky Way between Gemini and Taurus. But what they're really going for is taking Cancer, as Mars is retrograding here from Cancer. And then on this side, we've got Pluto in Capricorn and the Sun, Pluto and the Sun taking here, but Mercury bang on the bow of this gap, and Venus and Saturn combust, making a square. So are they still making a square? And making a square to Jupiter, and not quite making a square to Mercury anymore, but making a square to Jupiter. So this is, for me, it's really the birthing of Cupid and Valentine, coming up for the Valentine Fertility Festival, which will be just before Venus goes retrograde on the whale's tail. So there, that axis between Romulus and Remus, we've got the Sun conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, but in Sagittarius, and the Moon in Gemini conjunct Mars. And there is Rebecca, just like the wolf. Rebecca's World. And that is the image from Rebecca's World, which is just like the image of Notre Dame. Our Lady. There is Rebecca. And there I'm explaining the World Tarot, air, fire, earth, water. And there she's holding the earth exactly as we see from Mother Earth to the child's taking the fertility. Taurus is out, they kill, and they use Virgo for the big apple. So it's pretty outrageous, this chart. It's and we're going to put a cards. So we'll just have a little break and I'm going to come back and we're going to pull 3 cards for this energy. Okay, so let's shuffle 3 cards. So this is really about the hearts. The bee, lebi, leb in Hebrew is lebi. The 13th sign, it's the 13th, 14th. Okay, well, I've got cards flying out. I just had the tower cards. But I wasn't really focusing, so let's focus. Okay. So we've got 4 cards because the power card I wasn't really focusing, but we're still going to keep in. So I've got the Queen of Pentacles, Earth. So that's very much. We've got that Tower card and the Ace of Wands. So endings and new beginnings, like wow. And my God, if that doesn't tell you how powerful. And we've got the Deadly Mother passage. So, wow. So Queen of Pentacles, a secretive mother, roots, devil, hangman, sun in Capricorn, moon in Cancer. So this is very much the energy that we've got. If we look at let's go to the Super Bowl. I mean, even whatever we're looking at, if we're going from the Bourbon lightning, we've got that massive for that. Well, I mean, that's exactly that. So for that, we had the moon conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, and there she is. So the Queen of Pentacles is a woman who is economical to an extreme. She seeks business success, believing that wealth and power justify whatever means are necessary to achieve them. A deeply private person, she never wants people to know what she's thinking and is very secretive about her personal life and profession. She has deep insecurities, almost to the point of borderline paranoia, and is torn between practical things and feelings. Where money is involved, this materialistic and possessive queen is cautious and economical. She wants to be in control of her own fortunes and is an achiever-type personality who feels good when she brings organization to a situation. She may in fact become a very prominent public figure, or, being natively rather materialistic and possessive, she may apply her skills in budgeting and arranging schedules, or creating an excellent home environment for her family. But if this queen is badly aspected with other cards, she is likely to be borderline paranoid, extremely miserably selfish and overbearing. Money and possessions may assume almost pathological significance, and rather than earning respect and attention, she demands it. So this is that Inanna in the worst possible energy, of experiencing Saturn and Venus in Aquarius and Moon and Pluto opposite Mars. So, you know, that is bingo. Then we have the Tower card, which is fire, and also the Ace of Wands. So, you know, this is showing you the level of destruction. So the Ace of Wands, birth and death. Fool, Emperor, Pluto in Aries. So that's the same thing. We've got Pluto opposite Mars. Mars rules Aries, and I haven't even said Uranus went back to Aries on the day of, well, I mean, I've been saying it, but I have forgot to say it. I feel like I'm getting a cold. I never really get a cold. I haven't had a cold for years, but I do at this time of year. I can get a stuffy nose, and I'm got that going on right now. So Uranus just got back to Aries, and Uranus is going to be in Aries until Venus goes retrograde. So that is enormous. So the root of action, dynamic new beginnings, overwhelming and revolutionary change. This is either the advent of something new or it has the end of something. It is in any event an overwhelming process, a total and complete change. This is the card of actual birth and death. The death card is usually one of transition. The passionate, transforming energy, which may mean action and confrontation, is not for the faint of heart. It may mean a new profession. It may mean a new set of concepts about art, literature, government, or religion. It is raw power, unbridled for the individual or for society. It can mean the birth and death of nations, as seen, for example, in the French Revolution. In a reading, the nature of this action will be shown by related cards. What happens can be either good or bad, and like anything completely new, what will ultimately come from this, like the child growing up, may not be at all certain. So this is dramatic. This is dramatic, and this is coming from tomorrow's quarter moon. And then we have the full moon, the deadly mother, the wolf moon. This is exactly that. You even have the two wolves at the bottom. Not many are able to get past that true silver gate. This is silver locks. You've got Goldilocks and silver locks. This is silver locks. So the deadly mother. The moon. The moon rules Cancer, thus the moon rules the hangman. The moon is a murky planet which waxes and wanes. When this card appears in a spread, it can point to intentional, unintentional deception and to real dishonesty. Depending on surrounding cards, it can warn of a dark and even dangerous situation. This can be a card of great fear and of insecurity, or it can be a card of beautiful romance because it represents emotional flow and personal perception, a condition of dream images where rational thought has little bearing. The position of the card in a reading may suggest the ebb and flow of a matter, dark dreams, possibly a severe test. One way or the other, whenever it appears, the reader should see it as a pointing to an illusionary condition, which may be an invention, but which certainly cannot be trusted. This is a card of visions and of shifting moods, which may be alcohol or drug induced. The moon can mean the home, the mother, or women in general. It can mean childbirth. It can also mean travel or change. General meanings: dreams, nightmares, rhythm, imagination, mother, maternal instincts, home, the house, soft, smooth, substances, focus of experience, mood, alcohol or drugs, fluids, digestion, menstruation, peacefulness, faith, hope and charity. Travel by water, all common employments, inferior positions, employment involving water, seaman, fisherman, romantic, kind, visionary. Negative: emotional depression, mental instability, laziness, endocrine imbalance, allergies, female disorders. So this is exactly what we've seen. This is showing us exactly from the queen bee to the total destruction. So this is something coming up tomorrow, and then this full moon on the 13th, and for the 7th, for the first quarter moon, up. So let's go back to that first quarter moon. It's the full moon and the first quarter. Fifth door. Pisces. Right. So, you know, I saw, where's Uranus? Here's Uranus. I see the full moon as being something more explosive, but we also have in between this, we've got the Super Bowl, the 9th, and that Super Bowl, the Super Bowl charts. Super Bowl. This card could be talking about the Super Bowl. We've got the moon conjunct. Yeah, it's talking about the Super Bowl. Uranus moon square to Venus and Saturn, semi-square. Okay, darlings, up. That I hope that's helped you to follow up a little bit of everything going on. Go see Uno's video, lightning strikes on New Year's Eve, New Orleans attack, Tesla explosion at Trump Tower, Las Vegas. Well, you know, Tesla and Trump, Tess is Testa, but d'Urberville, always Virgo, and Trump and Elon and Trump are each Gemini and Taurus, each side of the brainstem of William, Orion, those three kings. Today is the Epiphany. Okay, I love you very much. Yeah, anybody want to come forward for tomorrow, a psychic reading? I want to do a psychic reading for somebody. So it can be any question you need to ask, anything you want to look at something in detail. Please, somebody come forward from 12th and the second and the last tier. Okay, bye for now.